Welcome to Echo of the Wise, where the greatest minds in history gather to discuss the most pressing issues of our time. Today, in a quaint corner of a timeless café, two intellectual giants meet to explore a topic that remains at the forefront of societal discourse: modern feminism. Socrates, the Greek philosopher known for his relentless questioning, and Simone de Beauvoir, the French thinker whose work laid the foundation for contemporary feminism, come together for a conversation that transcends time.
Simone, it's an honor to share this moment with you. I've heard much about your ideas and how you've challenged the established norms of your time. Your approach to freedom and equality, especially concerning women, fascinates me. Today, I'd like to explore with you how these ideas relate to the differences between men and women, both biologically and socially. What are your thoughts on feminism in the current context?
The pleasure is mine, Socrates. Feminism has come a long way since I wrote The Second Sex, but the fundamental questions remain the same. What does it mean to be a woman in a society historically dominated by men? And how can we achieve true equality without ignoring the differences that exist between the sexes? Biological differences are real, but my concern has always been how these differences are used to justify social and economic inequalities.
This is indeed a topic that warrants deep reflection. In my time, the role of women was clearly defined and limited, something we rarely questioned. However, I've always believed in the power of questioning and dialogue to uncover truth. I'd like to ask you, Simone, how do you think the recognition of biological differences should influence our expectations of men's and women's roles in society?
That's an important question, Socrates. Recognizing biological differences is essential, but we must be careful not to use these differences as an excuse to maintain power structures that perpetuate inequality. For instance, differences in physical strength are evident. Men, on average, tend to be stronger than women. However, this should not translate into unequal opportunities or the notion that women are less capable in other aspects of life.
I see. So, we could say that while biological differences may predispose certain abilities or roles, they shouldn't determine a person's value or opportunities. But I wonder, Simone, if these differences can have any positive impact if acknowledged and valued correctly. For example, could we view the natural strengths of each sex as complementary rather than competitive?
That's an interesting perspective, Socrates. The differences between the sexes shouldn't be seen as a hierarchy of value but as a diversity of capabilities. For instance, studies suggest that women may have a greater capacity for empathy and communication, while men might excel in activities requiring physical strength or competitive aggression. However, we must remember that these are generalizations and that there is significant overlap in individual capabilities. We shouldn't pigeonhole people into specific roles based solely on their biology.
So the key lies in balancing the recognition of these differences with an egalitarian view of human capabilities. It reminds me of my belief in the importance of virtue and knowledge as the true values that should guide our actions, beyond physical or social characteristics. But, Simone, how do you think feminism can progress in a world that still struggles to reconcile these differences with equality?
I believe feminism must continue challenging traditional narratives that limit women to certain roles while being flexible enough to recognize and respect biological differences where appropriate. This means advocating for policies that ensure equal opportunities for everyone, regardless of gender, while also supporting the specific needs of men and women. For example, access to reproductive health care is crucial for women, while men might benefit from a greater focus on mental health, given that they are less likely to seek help.
It seems we're talking about a society that values each individual for who they are, not for what biology or culture dictates they should be. In my time, the idea of justice was based on giving each person what they deserved according to their nature. But perhaps what we need is a new interpretation of justice, one that recognizes both our differences and our shared humanity.
Exactly, Socrates. True justice isn't about treating everyone the same, but about ensuring that each person has the opportunity to reach their full potential, without being limited by gender prejudices or social expectations. This means continually questioning our norms and social structures, something you, as a master of questioning, understand well.
That brings me to another question, Simone. How can we foster a society where people are judged by their character and individual abilities, not by expectations based on their gender? What role does education play in this process?
Education is fundamental, Socrates. From an early age, we need to teach boys and girls that they are not limited by their gender, that their dreams and aspirations are valid, regardless of whether they fit into traditional roles. We also need an education that promotes critical thinking, that teaches people to question established norms and challenge power structures that perpetuate inequality. Only through inclusive and critical education can we create a generation capable of building a more just and equal society.
I agree, Simone. Education is the key to freeing the mind from the chains of ignorance and prejudice. But I also wonder about the role of laws and policies. How can institutions reflect and support this vision of equality that you propose?
Laws and policies are powerful tools for promoting equality, Socrates. We need laws that protect women's rights, ensure equal pay, combat gender-based violence, and support families in all their diversity. But we also need policies that promote equitable representation at all levels of society, from positions of power to the workforce. However, laws alone are not enough. We also need a cultural shift that transforms the way we think and talk about gender.
That makes me think about how culture and philosophy are intertwined. While laws can change the external, culture and philosophy change the internal, what we think and believe. That's why philosophical dialogue is so important. It allows us to question and reshape our beliefs in a way that laws alone cannot achieve. I wonder, Simone, what role do you think philosophy plays in advancing feminism and equality?
Philosophy is crucial, Socrates. It allows us to reflect on the roots of inequality, on power structures, and on how we can imagine a different world. My own work was deeply philosophical, trying to understand how society constructs notions of femininity and masculinity, and how we can deconstruct those notions to create a more equitable society. Feminism, in many ways, is a form of applied philosophy. It's a way of bringing philosophical questioning into social practice.
Then we could say that feminism, like philosophy, is a continuous search for truth and justice, one that requires both constant questioning and decisive action. It seems to me that in this process, it is essential to maintain a balance between recognizing our differences and affirming our fundamental equality. But, Simone, how do you see the future of feminism? What challenges do you think it will face in the coming years?
Feminism has achieved much, but it still faces significant challenges. One of the main ones is resistance to cultural change, especially in societies where gender norms are deeply entrenched. Additionally, in a globalized world, feminism must address the intersection of gender with other forms of oppression, such as race, class, and sexual orientation. The feminism of the future will need to be inclusive and global, recognizing that the struggle for equality is different in each context, but that we are all connected in this common struggle.
It seems the path to justice and equality is long, but not impossible. You've given me much to think about, Simone. Perhaps the most important lesson we can take from this conversation is that, while we are different, those differences should not divide us but rather strengthen us. True wisdom, as always, lies in finding the balance between our differences and our shared humanity.
That's a good summary, Socrates. Equality doesn't mean ignoring differences, but recognizing and valuing them, while working together to create a more just society for everyone. Philosophy and feminism offer us the tools to do just that.
Today, we've witnessed a meeting of minds that transcends time and space. Socrates and Simone de Beauvoir have reminded us of the importance of questioning our beliefs and working together toward a future where differences are not an obstacle to equality, but a source of strength and wisdom. At Echo of the Wise, we believe that dialogue is the first step toward a more just and equitable world. Thank you for joining us on this philosophical journey. Until next time.